So 24 states with Republican attorney generals have just filed a brief before Judge Aileen Cannon in the Florida federal criminal case against Donald Trump for his theft of national defense information and obstruction of justice. And they are requesting to file amicus briefs and participate in the proceedings as friends of the court, also called amici curiae. And what they're arguing is that Donald Trump should be allowed to threaten law enforcement, to threaten the Department of Justice, to threaten the FBI, and that these are such important First Amendment issues that Donald Trump should be able to engage in this behavior, that they want to participate. And these Republican states led by Republican state attorney generals are saying they're going to be injured and they have important interest in this. So Judge Aileen Cannon, please let us intervene. Let me just show you what they filed right here. And just so you know, this relates to Special Counsel Jack Smith's filing to modify the conditions of Donald Trump's release to basically include a gag order to prevent Donald Trump from lying about the fact that when Donald Trump goes out and says the FBI and the Department of Justice are trying to assassinate him, and when Donald Trump says that the search warrant executed at Mar-a-Lago had basically a kill order to murder and assassinate Donald Trump, that's false. Donald Trump was using the general use of force policy that exists in every search warrant that's always executed no matter who you are in the United States of America when lethal force can and cannot be used. And what Special Counsel Jack Smith said, look, Donald Trump's a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a criminal defendant. By Donald Trump making these statements and lying, he is in essence also encouraging his violent followers to attack law enforcement, to go after the Department of Justice, to go after the FBI. And if the public and Trump's violent supporters falsely believe that the FBI and DOJ are trying to assassinate Donald Trump, then Trump's violent followers could take violent action against the DOJ and FBI officials. But now the Republican state attorney generals are stepping in and saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Donald Trump should absolutely be able to make up these lies. And in fact, this is going to hurt our state. So we're all in on Donald Trump. So let me just read for you that brief. But I think it's also important just to let you know, too, and this is one of the most disturbing aspects of what the Republican Party has become today. It's become the Trump organization. Just take a look. Scott McFarland posted this. Here's the latest review of all of the U.S. House legislation. Their key priorities. This is not a joke. This is real. The main GOP proposals include requiring the U.S. Treasury to print $500 bills with Trump's face on it, renaming the Dulles Airport in Virginia after Donald Trump, renaming all U.S. coastal economic zones after Donald Trump, awarding Donald Trump a congressional gold medal. That is what their priorities are. And here the Republican attorney generals are intervening in Donald Trump's criminal case, in a convicted felon's other criminal case, to say, let him attack the DOJ, let him attack the FBI. We as Republican attorney generals think that's what should take place. Motion of 24 states for leave to file the brief as amici curiae, opposing special prosecutor's motion to modify conditions of release. And it says the states of Iowa, Florida, West Virginia, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming. Amici states move for leave to file the attached brief as amici curiae, opposing the special prosecutor's motion seeking to modify the conditions of release. Amici states, these states, they say, offer unique and important perspectives on the implications of the special prosecutor's argument and request for relief, and believe their briefing will benefit the court. They go on to say this court has inherent authority to appoint amici curiae to assist the court in a proceeding. inasmuch as an amicus is not a party and does not represent the parties, but participates only for the benefit of the court, it is solely within the discretion of the court to determine the fact, extent, and manner of participation by the amicus. More on that in a second. Now, here's what they say, why they say this is so important for them. They say the amici states, that these Republican states each stand to suffer. They say they will suffer the harms identified in the brief if a gag order is imposed on President Trump. They call him president. He's not the president, but this is part of their obsequiousness. They say they will suffer harms. That order may affect the election, the First Amendment rights of tens of millions of Americans, and will prevent President Trump from opining on this important national election matter. For the foregoing reasons, amici states respectfully request that this court grant them leave to file the attached brief and to participate in these proceedings. And just to remind you, remember, an amicus brief is a third-party brief. It's not a party to the case, but these are third parties that have to first request permission to participate in the proceeding, not as a party, but to offer advice and guidance to the court on unique issues that are under the province of the amici who file these briefs. The court has to grant permission. And usually the brief just gets submitted, although in the case of Judge Aileen Cannon, she is previously allowed, in an order that she reached a week or two back, allowing other amici to actually show up in the courtroom and deliver oral arguments. It's like unheard of what Judge Cannon did in another setting. Remember, Donald Trump's supporters, one is a group, Citizens United, related to Citizens United. Another is a group of kind of right-wing kind of lawyers who have these very extreme views. Another group that after those groups filed, they wanted to say, hey, let us participate too, because what these other groups are saying is absolutely nuts. But Judge Cannon said, everybody come into the court. I'll invite you and we'll have a whole day of hearings on this and you can all participate in my courtroom. Like, welcome to my courtroom, which is just entirely unheard of. That related to this other claim that Trump's made, that the special counsel, that Jack Smith is unlawfully appointed and all special counsels are improper, and that any funds appropriated to the special counsel is unlawful, and therefore the special counsel receiving funds is a violation of the law, and therefore the whole case should be dismissed. It's an absolutely completely frivolous argument, but Judge Cannon's going to be hearing a full day of oral argument on that and invited these other amicus to show up there. And now here, I think these Republican attorney general states said, okay, look, I guess she's inviting everybody in. So we're attorney generals in Republican states. We want to participate too. And we think that we're harmed by this. And what they say is that the rights of tens of millions of Americans will be harmed, they say, if Donald Trump is not permitted to lie and say that the general use of force policy is actually an assassination attempt on him. What the Republican attorney generals are saying, that they should be permitted, that Donald Trump should be permitted to lie about the FBI and the Department of Justice when it's such a clear and obvious lie. I mean, you should also recall, right, back when in the 2020 election, you had a number of Republican attorney generals with no basis in law petition the Supreme Court to overturn the results of a free and fair election, with many of the same states that you see here. That's one of the most surprising and kind of shocking things about this. I mean, the fact that there would be a wannabe authoritarian demagogue, somebody like Donald Trump, could rise. I mean, I think that's hard to stomach. But the fact that the entire Republican Party would spend their priorities attacking the FBI and attacking the DOJ, and then spend their priorities in the House of Representatives trying to name everything after him, a $500 bill, Dulles Airport, coastal economic zones, when Americans actually, care about law and order and want, they think that Congress should actually be doing real things. I mean, that aspect to me is one of the things that always is just so disappointing. Would be the biggest understatement what the Republican Party has become. And meanwhile, you have someone in Judge Aileen Cannon who previously, remember like last week, you had Donald Trump rush to Judge Cannon and not even rush. On the day of expert disclosures, Donald Trump said, you know what? We don't have an expert judge. The expert we were supposed to have, said that they couldn't be the expert anymore. Even though the deadline to disclose our expert is today, we want more time, Judge. Thanks. Appreciate it. And any other federal judge would be like, today's the deadline. What are you talking about? No, you can't disclose it whenever you want to disclose your expert. You had months and months and months, almost a year to disclose it. And now you're saying that your expert just said they didn't want to do it over the weekend. The deadline was extended multiple times before. And Jack Smith's like, what are we talking about? Like, these dates have been adjourned multiple times. Now he's saying on the day of the deadline that he can't disclose the expert because an expert wasn't available on the weekend. But Judge Cannon's like, sure, take as much time as you want, Donald Trump, all good. But then when special counsel Jack Smith called Donald Trump out on a fairly urgent basis before Judge Cannon on Donald Trump's threats to FBI and DOJ, and when special counsel Jack Smith sought to modify the conditions of release to have this gag order to prevent Donald Trump from lying that the FBI and DOJ are trying to kill him, Jack Smith reached out to Trump's lawyer, said, let's discuss this. Trump's lawyer said, hey, we're not available right now. Maybe sometime next week we'll be available. So Jack Smith said, okay, well, if you're not going to meet with me, I'm going to file right now before Judge Cannon. I got to file this motion. And then Judge Cannon denied Jack Smith's motion for not engaging in the appropriate professional courtesy to Donald Trump's lawyers. And she described the attempt to meet in advance of filing the motion as a pro forma conferral, wholly lacking in substance and professional courtesy. So when Trump blew the deadline and then said, hey, we just want more time, she's like, yeah, sure, do it. When Jack Smith in advance tried to meet and confer, and over a very serious issue of Trump potentially getting FBI and DOJ agents killed, Judge Cannon's like, yeah, you should have even had a more robust meet and confer. You should have talked more with each other. So that's this judge. You have a MAGA judge. You now have all these Republican states urging the judge to allow a MAGA judge to have Donald Trump lie about the FBI and DOJ, just a false statement. And then these are the AG, these are attorney generals. These are the people who are supposed to stand for law and order, who know that Trump is lying, but they're okay with it. They're okay with him lying about the use of force, the general use of force policy. And that's where I go, that ain't conservative. That's not Republican. That's cult. That's just MAGA cult stuff. And we're so much better than that in the United States of America. Anyway, tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together.
Enough! Send him to the big house, not the White House. Get the new exclusive tees, mugs, and stickers right now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.